What I'm going to talk about today is mainly contactless mobile payments at the point of sale, but I'm going to be looking at the issuing of the credential rather than the actual usage of the card. So my emphasis is going to be on the issuer needs, what they need to do in this here. I'm going to cover all three types of secure element that are emerging as the contactless form factor: the embedded secure element, the SIM or the UICC as it's sometimes called, and the micro SD card. And I'm also going to be explaining a lot about the standards-based approach to this whole thing, the integration and the certification of the systems. So the three main areas and things that I'm going to be talking about is, for contactless mobile payments, there is an absolute need for strong security. That's primarily to build customer trust, and also we need to protect against fraud in the system. As you'll see as we get more into worked examples, the infrastructure is much more complex than we've got with traditional payment cards, whether they're mag, stripe or chip cards, and you're going to see a lot more hardware security techniques deployed. But the good news is that in most parts of the world we've got a strong chip-based payment infrastructure, and mobile is actually based on top of EMV standards. But you'll see that for banks, the core skills that they need to develop and maintain are linked more to the first stage of the process, and they're going to be deferring to trusted service managers for the latter stages, the bits that are mobile centric itself, that are not their core competency. That gives the flexibility and the benefits of isolating the banks from the mobile domain so that they can concentrate on what they're good at. It also means that trusted service managers, I think those of you that have been in some of the sessions earlier will have seen that term described quite a lot. They're going to have much more flexibility in being able to provide sometimes the complete system on behalf of the bank, or sometimes just a little part of it. So it's a very flexible thing. The thing is, standards are absolutely paramount in this. Unlike the card world, where we were able for many years to get away with very proprietary techniques. I mean, the main card manufacturers would have had literally hundreds of proprietary card platforms over the years. In the mobile secure element world, we're looking very much at standards. A standard chip-based platform based around global platform standards is emerging as the preferred one. That's going to reduce time and cost to implement the solution. It's also going to make things a lot more easier to interoperate. It'll mean that the people deploying the products across the value chain will have the ability to mix and match between different suppliers, best of breed. On this slide here, I just to put things in perspective, this is an analyst organization that my company uses, and this was one of the reports they produced last year on mobile payments, and it's just really showing the left-hand column, the slightly darker blue that you see in each of the cells, is either the actual or the estimate of where we are today. The right-hand side is where we think we're going to be in 4 to 5 years in terms of mobile payments. You can see that there's a significant amount of growth. We're still very, very early market, but it means that we've got to get things right now. This slide here is just trying to give you a bit of an understanding of the reason why we need trusted service managers in mobile payments, especially in the provisioning side, the issuing of the mobile device. In the left-hand picture, if we just had all the different organizations, there's the financial institutions, the mobile network operators, the handset manufacturers, maybe some other organizations like transit operators who want to put applications on mobile phones. If we didn't have the concept of trusted service managers that you see in the right-hand box, everybody would have to have relationships with everybody else. It'd be very, very time consuming, very complicated. There wouldn't be a standardization. Trusted service managers help us get this to market quicker. So the thing is, with phones, there's two aspects, NFC and security. So the three options for getting NFC on your phone are either the phone comes with it built in. There are very few phones that have that capability at the moment. The projections are that possibly something like 30% of the new smartphones being produced from now on will be NFC. I think within 5 years we'll probably see most phones having NFC. So the other way is this has happened a lot in Asia. The mobile network actually puts a NFC tail onto a SIM card, so that's another way of getting NFC in the phone. Or the other approach is the bank actually uses a secure SD card with NFC built in, so that's a little plug-in device into the phone. In terms of the phone itself and the security of the phone, it can either be inside the phone as a secure element, so that's basically the handset manufacturer-centric model. That's the one where they actually control the secure element at the point of manufacture. The second one is where the secure element is an SD card that's added retrospectively to the phone. That's actually the bank-centric model, so that's very much analogous to how they control the card payment world today. And the third one is the secure element is actually part of the SIM card inside the phone. So that's the mobile network operator-centric model. That's the one that actually, as you might expect, is favored by the GSM Association, and organizations such as the European Payments Council in Europe are promoting that model as well. Now, I said earlier, we're still in the very early stages of mobile payments. It is an evolving market, but the things I'm seeing are it's moving from a period of trials to actually some rollouts of real solutions. The early solutions were very much what I term handcrafted. It was very much a controlled environment where it was a specific type of phone. There was the person involved in the trial didn't have any flexibility over which phone they used. But now these handcrafted solutions are being replaced by standards-based solutions. So most of the vendors that you will talk to here this week are actually developing a lot of their solutions based around global platform or EMVCo requirements and best practice from the card schemes as well. We also, in the early days, we were seeing just single schemes, single issuer, single network operator, single handset, single secure element. What I think we'll have within 2 to 5 years is the ability to have multiple scheme cards on the same phone, multiple issuers, even not just all payment people, but maybe transit, loyalty, all being able to add applications on the phone, and many more handsets supported and different types of secure element. There's even a lot of the work done with EMVCo or GSMA is about where there are more than one secure element on the phone, how that will be processed, which will become the default element as well. So there's a lot of work going on in the standards community to try to resolve these practical things that are going to arise, because at the end of the day, the customer is the one that wants the flexibility, wants the choice to do what they want to put the application on their phone. It's not the banks anymore that control that physical phone. And with the other thing is, we're moving away from a world where it was so bank-centric or a service provider where the physical cards was issued. It's now over-the-air issuance is the way that I think is the future of mobile. That's how the two out of the three secure elements are very tuned to over-the-air issuance. The micro SD card is traditionally still done at least the first stage of putting the application on in the physical card model. So just trying to summarize on a mobile payment security. So from the two people that we've got to really satisfy in this are the consumers themselves, because they need to want mobile payments. And to do that, they're going to have to trust the mobile platform just as they trust cards today. You can't have a secure transaction processing system based on mobile unless your issuance is secure, because it's unlike the card world where a retailer can physically see the card and check the card at the point of sale. With a mobile phone, the secure element is invisible. It's inside the phone, so they have to have the trust that that was provisioned in a secure manner. The good thing about mobile payments are that if some of you will be involved in countries where there are contactless payment cards today, where you can tap or wave a card within a few centimeters of a payment terminal. That same technology, that same terminal works without modification with mobile phones. You can tap your phone in the same way, so it's building on that. What we're also going to see is that the card schemes are going to mandate a lot more use of hardware security modules in the whole issuing process. There's a lot of key management involved in mobile provisioning. There's not just the bank's bit as well. There's a lot of other players involved. There's the handset manufacturers, the mobile network operator, the secure element owner. All of them have got their cryptographic keys. The bank is just one part of that now, and the secure transfer of data and keys between the various recipients as the device is being provisioned has to be done securely, and hardware security modules are going to underpin that. And the one standards organization that stands head and above everybody else is Global Platform for the commands to do with the personalisation of the phone. So the over-the-air personalisation, Global Platform have defined a lot of specifications to do with setting up a secure session with the secure element, defining secure messages to issue content onto the phone to update it, and they're also working on the environment of the phone itself, so the whole operating system of the phone, or the trusted execution environment. There's a lot of standardization work there where they're making sure that all the applications that reside in the phone are secure in their own right. They're effectively firewalled so that one application can't corrupt another application, and that's something that's very important to the owners of the applications when they're put on the phone. And my company has actually been involved in supporting the Global Platform standards and making sure they're embedded in a secure way inside the hardware security module so that there's no compromise of the content as it's being used. So I'm now going to go through 2 or 3 slides just looking at the different architectures. This is quite a high-level one where you see, starting on the left-hand side, that's the bank. And there'll be some form of service provider, which we'll discuss in more detail in a moment. Then there'll be a trusted service manager who's involved in provisioning the secure elements, which then get loaded onto the phone, and the end users use them, the phones. Just taking a look back at the smart card issuance process today, and you'll see where we're coming from. The bank is very much in control of the enrollment service and the issuance system itself. So the enrollment service is basically the way that we as consumers would actually request a credit or debit card. And what's happened over the years is that's evolved so that it's very much web service based, very easy to change, so they can adapt that very quickly. The thing that they can't adapt very quickly is the core issuance system, or what's commonly known as the legacy card management system. That's the one that's could have been written 20, 30 years ago. It's what started off in the early days of Mag Stripe cards. It's been tweaked a little bit, but basically it stayed the same. So what they've done for smart cards is they've traditionally used an external data prep system to do the EMV, the enriching of data to produce chip cards. And that can either be under bank control or it could be outsourced to a third-party bureau. And then the bureau do the card personalisation, which is the last stage, physically putting the keys and data onto the cards. So at the moment, the bank has got the option of running everything themselves, or a lot of times they might go up to the point of data prep and then outsource the final bit of card production, because that's a volume business and they may not want to run that themselves in-house. So if we look at how this model's changing when we're talking about mobile card issuance or mobile provisioning, starting on the left-hand side, we've got the enrollment system. So the challenge now is that they've got to be able to handle the authentication side and what's called the wallet management. So that's the applications that are going to reside on the mobile phone. So they're having to develop new front ends, secure front ends on the enrollment side. They're not going to touch their basic card issuance system. But what they are going to do is they're going to have a service provider system which sits on the outside of that, which will be either run in-house or run at a third-party bureau, and it's actually there to provide the information about the customer, about their mobile phone, about their operating system, about the type of secure element, and that'll be passed to a trusted service manager who is then going to do the hard work of provisioning that new application onto the mobile phone. So the trusted service manager in this diagram is one that really understands the mobile domain, really understands the mobile network, knows how to talk over the air to a secure element. And it's possible that for any one service provider, they may need to work with different trusted service managers just to support different types of mobile network. Now, just delving a little bit further into this one here, what's interesting is the issuance system, the core issuance system, isn't changing. So the original embossed file that was used for magstripe cards in the plastic card world is still the same feed into that. It's the service provider that's actually enriching that, and the trusted service manager who's talking to the mobile phone is where he's using the global platform messaging, etc. Now, on those last couple of slides, I showed just a single TSM as a concept, but what's happening in a lot of the work going on at the moment in the standards bodies, especially global platform, is they're starting to talk about this concept of two different types of trusted service managers. So the first one is what's known as the service provider TSM, and that's really just an extension of the bank or the bank's bureau. And it's still got the main goal of trying to shield the bank from the complexity of all the different operating systems on phones or the phone types. But what it's doing is it's doing the core key management. So it's managing the bank's security domain in much the same way that they would do in the physical card world. It's putting together the applications and it's doing the over-the-air provisioning to the phone. And it's also doing lifecycle management. Those of you that are familiar with the EMV chip and pin world will know that chip cards, when they're in use, can actually be managed dynamically. There's the thing called like EMV scripts that get written while the card's still in the terminal, and they can actually change things about the profile of the card. With the mobile world, we still need the same sort of facilities, so that's in there. There's things like when you're using a mobile phone to pay for goods, you are looking at a lot of card schemes will only allow you maybe to spend $50 or $20 or something before you have to do a chip and pin transaction. So some of this life cycle management will be involved in resetting some of those parameters, and also just normal facilities like locking and unlocking of the secure element itself. The other type of trusted service manager is what's known as the secure element trusted service manager, and that's very much mobile network operator, handset manufacturer centric. And what it's doing is it's sitting as like a middleman who's able to handle application requests from lots of different types of issuers. So the issuers could be banks, they could be loyalty schemes, they might be transport operators, all wanting applications on the phone. And of course, no one of those individuals has got the knowledge of what the phone looks like, but the trusted service manager who's managing that phone, or in conjunction with other trusted service managers, will be able to have a view of the phone and make sure that the provisioning is done in this secure way. And what they'll also be doing is they'll be managing secure element keys, these high-level keys that either are owned by the mobile network operator or the handset manufacturer. And that's something that is alien to the banks at the moment. They, or the card schemes, are the masters, the top-level key owners. In the mobile world, that is not necessarily the case, and they will have to defer authority to someone else. And it's the trusted service manager that is helping them do that. So just to try to show where that sits in the diagram, you can see here we've got, moving down the screen, we've got the bank, then the service provider, the trusted service manager, the mobile network operator, and the mobile user. So the bank issuer still can deal with just the standard embossing file, no real change there. Then the service provider at the next stage is the one that's doing this global platform extraction. So he's helping the bank set up the security domain, deriving keys for the cards and the application, creating the application, the applets, processing the scripts, dealing with multiple TSMs, and he's still not involved in the absolute nitty-gritty of what type of phone it is, what type of operating system on the phone, because the over-the-air bit is, because the secure element is global platform compliant, when they're talking directly to that element through the over-the-air interface, that is all standards-based, and that's what makes that part of the equation very simple. So you can see there where we're splitting the TSM, so the service provider becomes the service provider TSM, and the trusted service manager is the secure element TSM. Now, there's nothing to stop, in theory, a bank doing the whole thing, but for the SIM or for the embedded secure element, I would say that is almost impossible. The only one that they could conceivably do it for would be the micro SD card, because that's effectively a bit like a traditional payment card. So they could do it for that, but for the others, they can't. So that's why I think this whole security environment you're going to see in the future banks, service provider TSMs, and trust and secure element TSMs. There'll be these three secure parties all doing key management, all using hardware security to deliver mobile provisioning. So just to finish there, I mean, Thales, my company, so we basically are involved in some of the trials, some of the early work in this, and there's quite a few of our integration partners in the room today, and we provide payment HSMs or general purpose hardware security modules to help with this process. We work with many integration partners, and we can also work with the service providers as well. The main industry forums, global platform, EMVCo, which is the chip-based world, the chip and pin-based world, and they are writing a lot of documentation, getting heavily involved in making sure that contactless mobile payments is a certified thing, so that they can again be sure that the banks and the card schemes applications that are on the phone are certified and work very much like the plastic card, chip-based card. The Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council, they've got an interest in this from the PCI DSS viewpoint, but I think ultimately there'll be some other of the PIN security requirements, because mobiles do need PINs for some of the higher value transactions. So I could see PCI getting involved in the infrastructure later. And also there's a PCI HSM standard which they're likely to adopt as well. And just as one example, this partner isn't exhibiting this week, but the closest I could think of with our payment HSM using global platform technology is with a solution with Aconite. So that sort of is a solution which fits and a case study for that model I've been talking about.